The bully hunters have come to a swift death, and crazy Taylor Swift fans. Let's get into the news. We start things off with something that actually has come to an end before it even took off, and that is the Bully Hunters initiative that was started up by a marketing agency called FCB Chicago, who actually has some pretty decent clients under their name. They got like Coca-Cola, Discover, HP, Jack Daniels, Samsung, and so on and so forth. But this new initiative seems to be unlike anything they've ever done before, where it involves a collective of female gamers in the CSGO scene teaming up to try and target in-game trolls and griefers who have been reported for harassing players, infiltrating their games and eliminating the offenders with, get this, their sheer force of unmatched skill. They also describe themselves as vigilante hit squad of female gamers. Okay, for starters, if you're going to go for that name, the first thing that pops into my mind is Zack Snider's Sucker Punch movie. I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen that, but just for some reason, that description just kind of reminds me of that movie. And it also raises some questions, like, what do you do if the lobby of the targeted player is full, and what happens if the offender is actually better than you are? In all seriousness, so in the real questions and criticisms that pop up, like, what happens if the offender actually escalates the level of aggression due to the targeted player calling out for help, which usually happens in these kinds of situations, especially with hackers? Or what do you do if the aggressor becomes unfairly targeted and then is instigated by the person who is actually calling out for help? These are kind of things that, you know, when I first heard about this whole initiative, those were the kind of things I first started thinking about. A spokesperson talked to Polygon regarding the last question, saying that there are steps in place to avoid bad actors. Basically, once a hunter is in the game, they'll have direct communication with the player and able to observe the situation before jumping in to ensure that their help is actually required. The hunters also have a rating/report system in place to assist players if a hunter was misusing the platform. Now, this is all conjecture, seeing as the whole movement is pretty much dead at this point, but this initiative was also pretty big. They had some decent promoters and supporters behind it, including the National Organization for Women, Diverse Gaming Coalition, CyberpowerPC, and Steelseries. All of that apparently wasn't enough to keep the group that strives to raise awareness about online abuse alive, as a little under 72 hours after the official livestream event, which was met by tons of criticism, including a lot of people sharing my criticism of the group, while others suggesting that the gameplay footage they actually showed off in the live stream was pre-recorded and staged. There was also people that had issues with SteelSeries involvement with the group when it was revealed that they would be giving out these specially branded SteelSeries headsets made specifically for the group for charity events. And then when it was discovered that the most visible spokesperson of the organization, Natalie Zombie Unicorn Casanova, had made homophobic slurs in a video clip from 6 years ago and also used terms like bitch and cunt in tweets, well, those promoters and supporters pretty much dropped like flies. Many of the promoters actually stated that it was due to inadequate information that they received that was either contradicting what they originally told from what they saw at the live stream, or they just didn't have enough to fully explain the program in the first place. Now, some of you might be thinking I'm about to tear Natalie apart about the language that she used, and the answer is no, I'm not. First off, those video clips were from 6 years ago, so I'm not going to be some jackass and just discard her because she slipped up at some point and said that. Really, I have no place to speak because in the moments of frustration, I've also said some bad things before. So I get where she's coming from. And she has repeatedly gone out not only to apologize, but also to defend herself, both in regards to using the homophobic slurs to the use of bitch and cunt on her Twitter. She said that she said those in moments of frustration, both from people griefing her on social media and to hackers who hacked the game to get to her position. And just because somebody says those particular words or terms as an insult does not immediately mean that they are associated with a particular hate group, nor does it mean that they intended to use that exact definition of that word in the first place. Here's a thought. Maybe it was just the first insult that came to mind, and it was the only way that they thought of venting their frustration out. I mean, I've said some pretty dumb shit before. I'm not going to lie when in moments of frustration. I've never actually meant that dumb shit. I've never actually meant that to offend anybody. It was just something that slipped out. I generally swear. I won't lie. I mean, in general, if you guys watch some of my regular gameplay videos, you'll notice that a lot. I swear a lot. With that being said, the simple fact is I do not live in a world of pure and moral standards. That world is a joke conceived by psychopaths who want to rule the world. I live in a world where everyone has their strengths and their flaws, and When you have that kind of world, there are mistakes that are bound to happen. Shit happens. We learn from it. Do I think that the language is appropriate? No, not at all. Do I think that this should be held over somebody like Natalie, who's at least trying to do the right thing? No, I don't. I think that's a waste of time when your only argument to break somebody down who's trying to do something good is that they said a no-no word 6 years ago. I think that's ultimately what this entire program was about. A motion to try to do something good rather than do nothing at all. The problem is that it's either too ineffective to actually do anything, or it's causing more harm than good. I think if a program like this is to work, then it can't just rely on hopes of outplaying the player is going to have some sort of meaningful impact to that player. That doesn't solve the problem. It either just throws gasoline on the fire and makes the matter worse, or if the defender does get frustrated and leave, then it just throws the problem on another player. As I've said before, the best solution to these kind of things is to make a playlist for players who have constant reports against them for harassment and to force those players to interact with other players like that. The only exception to this is the players who make threats of violence. They need to be banned entirely. There's no excuse for that. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Let me know what you would do in this kind of a situation, and let me know if you think that there should be some sort of Bully Hunters initiative program going on. Leave those comments down below. The new project featuring Twisted Sisters, D. Snider, Hatebreed's Jamie Jasta, and former Killswitch Engage Howard Jones has revealed the title name of their new album as For the Love of Metal, and the release date is set for sometime in July through Napalm Records. No band name, though. We haven't gotten that yet. But I do seriously need to hear some of this stuff, like, soon. This lineup, plus the announcement of the additional guests, like Mark Morton of Lamb of God, Alyssa White-Clues of Arch Enemy, Joel Grind and Nick Belmore of Toxic Holocaust, and Charlie Belmore of Kingdoms of Sorrow. Oh, that lineup just sounds beautiful. That just sounds beautiful. Moving on, Call of Duty World War II is back again with a new event in celebration of their new DLC War Machines. The event is called Blitzkrieg, and it brings in a bunch of new weapons, 3 rifles, 1 SMG, 1 sniper rifle, and a slugger. It brings in new customization items for weapons like charms and camos. Party mode now includes HQ, where you can play games like Gun Game and Prop Hunt, and they're also teasing a new 9v9 mode. Very interested in checking that out. If you guys are interested in the trailer, it'll be down below. I'm sure that I'll be grinding the hell out of this event. Now time for some things that are awesome. We got a new gameplay trailer for Code Vein, aka Dark Souls game with anime vampires. It actually looks pretty good, but the combat looks slower than, Dark Souls or Bloodborne, and it looks like it's easier to anticipate. Now, I could just be talking out of my ass, and I could soon be eating my words at how hard this game potentially could be. But it was just something that I noticed. If you guys are interested in checking out the trailer for that, it'll be down below. We also got a new trailer for Kingdom Hearts 3, and it's interesting. We got to see some mini games for it, and they're all based off of this 1980s LCD games. They look fun, and I'm all about additional in-game content. I'm not complaining or anything. I'm just a little surprised by it. Check it out below if you guys are interested. The Ghosts Inside gave us probably one of the best updates in quite a while, and that is they are back in band practice. Well, for those of you who don't know, first off, the Ghosts Inside was involved in a tragic bus accident, I think, over 2 years ago. And before this point, whether the Ghosts Inside was actually ever going to come back as a band was still up in the air. We all wanted to believe that they would be, but at the same time, one just doesn't go through those amounts of series of injuries and just immediately pick up their instruments and start rocking out again. It takes time and patience. And sometimes when that happens, life catches up to you and you realize the opportunities you once had are no longer there. But they're back at it again, so I'm excited to see these dudes keep pushing at it and finally get back to where they were. Monster Hunter Worlds is getting a new big update. Not only is it introducing a new Elder Dragon, Cove Taroth, it's also bringing a new quest mode called Sieges, a new weapon loot system, and new armor. Check out more details for the game below. To be honest, I actually have this game sitting on my shelf whispering for me to play it. I've never actually played a Monster Hunter game, so my curiosity is definitely enticed by the idea of playing this soon. Speaking of large lizards, we also got the final trailer for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and I'm starting to get a real Lost Worlds vibe here, not gonna lie. I like what I'm seeing, but I can't help but get that feeling of it. Still looks great though, except that kid scene, which does make a return. And like I said, if that dino kills that kid, I'll straight up leave the movie theater. That shit tears me up for some reason. Either way around, if you guys are interested in checking it out, it'll be down below for you. And now it's time for stuff that sucks. And the first thing on the list is that Switch fans will be bummed to hear that Dark Souls Remastered is actually having its release date pushed back. It was originally set for a May 25th release date, and now it's slated for later this summer. The Solera amiibo has also been delayed as well, but the ports for PS4, Xbox One, and PC are still set for May 25th, however. And finally, Taylor Swift had a crazy fan incident when a man showed up to her Beverly Hills home wearing a mask, rubber gloves, and had a knife, rope, and ammunition. So clearly it seems like we have somebody who is mentally unstable here. I mean, he drove all the way from Colorado to California just to see her. Thankfully, she wasn't home at the time, and he was arrested on Saturday on suspicion of felony stalking. Creepy stuff, though, right? Plus, this isn't the first time, if I'm not mistaken, this isn't the first time that this has happened. Actually, I think there was a similar incident that happened not that long ago. If I'm not mistaken, I don't know. Anyway, I'll leave a link down below if you guys want to learn more about it. Thank you all for joining me for this episode. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. Dislike if you didn't. Subscribe if you want more. Share if you want to help the channel out. And, of course, I will see you all on the next one. Mars out.